Hey, what's up, everyone? Tonight's a very special night. We got Allan Knowles in the house. So Abby's making her reintroduction back into the game too. And of course, I am the loudmouth Tim. Allan Knowles, nice to meet you. Nice to see you, man.
Oh, same here. Good to see both of you again. It's been so long.
Yeah.
What has it been since Thursday night?
Since Thursday night, our weekly accountability group in our New England accountability group. I'm
That's
like
right.
tongue-tied tonight.
The
Tell us
best accountability
about
group in
it.
sub 2, by the way, right?
Sub 2, yeah. I usually wear my sub 2 hat.
That's right.
Sub 2, one of the greatest mentorships or the greatest mentorship in the world. God.
Well, I'm also an Astro flipper, so I have to be careful there. I have to be diplomatic.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I could say it's a tie.
Behind enemy lines right now.
It's
I
a
love
tie.
it.
That's what I say.
Yeah. And that seems like it's part of your strategy right now too. But I mean, we'll get into that in a second. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself though? Who are you? What are you doing?
Sure. Well, my background, I'm a Massachusetts attorney, primarily real estate, and I've been doing that for quite a few years, and have always been interested in real estate investing, but never really knew how to break into it. Certainly interacted with a number of them over the years, as well as, of course, real estate brokers and mortgage people and title examiners and notaries, all that sort of thing. But really didn't know how to do it until I'd say in the last 3 or 4 years. And then the opportunity came along and I jumped at it and haven't really looked back. So I'm sort of straddling both worlds right now. But I think I'm really looking towards spending even more time in the investing space. But yeah, it's a gradual process, as you know, and it's a definite learning curve. You don't just know it all automatically because you knew a little something from the other world.
Yeah.
It has its own learning curve that is not overnight.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. I thought a lot of I was an airframe mechanic in the Marine Corps, so whenever I became a carpenter, I thought a lot of the skills that I learned in the Marine Corps would transfer over somehow by, osmosis, maybe. I don't know. None of it did. None of it transferred over. It was like very, very night and day. But how do you feel like the transition's going from being an attorney to investor? Like, how has that been going?
I think it's going well in the sense that I've figured out what I know and what I don't know. So I could either spend more time waiting to learn everything I still don't know completely, or I can learn to delegate, automate, and systematize. And that's what I'm now starting to do. And probably should have done it sooner and taken action sooner. But I think having come from that other world, you're a natural born learner, student, certainly a bright, shiny object syndrome kind of guy. If I see something that I think might be a little bit better than what I just learned about the day before, I'm going to spend time checking that out too. And pretty soon, so much time goes by and so little action is taken, you realize, you just got to believe the mentors that say, look, you just got to take action, which in our world means actually making offers. And you just got to get busy doing that and stop waiting to perfect everything, which is actually pretty much what we do in the other profession. We try to make sure everything is perfect. We want to make sure every I is dotted, every T is crossed, and that's just the nature of that business. But so it's a little different in that way, where you got to jump in, but you still want to have a good grasp of the basics. And I think now that I'm at least a couple of years into it, I finally have that. And then the other huge component is networking with the right people. And like we said a few minutes ago, you can't have better people than the people in Astro and Sub 2 to network with. That's been a huge game changer for me.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Like, I'm kind of interested in how the Astro mentorship is going for you. Like, can you give us a little backstory on that?
Sure, that was actually the first one that I jumped into. That was that's basically uh, wholesaling. It's very little, if any, creative financing, and but it's an extremely granular approach to learning the business of wholesaling. I mean, they couldn't break it down anymore if they tried. It's learning every little nut and bolt, and you know, and you having the mechanical background, you would really appreciate that. It really dissembles everything. It's almost like the IKEA approach to wholesaling. That's probably a good analogy. You have to learn how to put it all together yourself. And the great thing is, theoretically, as you go along, and certainly by the time you're done, you'll have basically built your own business, so you'll be up and running. Of course, it's kind of like, again, with IKEA, as you're building it, you might run into some issues that, you know, you didn't expect. And, you know, you sort of have to slow down, or you might have to ask questions or ask for some help. But one way or another, once you get through with it, you pretty much have a business in a box. And, but then there's all sorts of other things you have to learn as well, that anybody getting into any business, especially real estate investing, has to learn. And that's where you still need to branch out and, you know, network with people, and not be afraid to ask for help, and, you know, squad up, partner up, you know, all the other things that come into play.
I love it. I love it. I didn't realize that it was so I guess I didn't really know exactly what Astro flipping was. I knew it was a bit of wholesaling. I thought it was more geared towards agent outreach, like real estate agent outreach. Didn't realize
Well,
it was
yeah,
mainly geared towards wholesaling.
yeah, and actually, you're right, because Keegley is the parent company that runs the Astro flipping program. So Keegley, which I'm sure you've heard of,
Yeah.
and you know, we've all dealt with the local franchises for Keegley. Keegley, the parent company, is in Arizona. They're the ones that created it with the three owners, Jamil, Josiah, and Hunter. And Josiah was the one that, when I first joined, he was doing the you know, the onboarding and the instruction. Jamil has since taken that over. Um, and what happens is, if you get to be a really super independent Astro flipping student and graduate and actual deal doer, you're in a position where you can buy a Keegley franchise. And that's
Oh
what some
wow.
of the people have done. I think, you know, Kyle and Brandon out in Worcester. They're one. I think there's a couple of others now in Massachusetts, if not more around New England. And it's not cheap, like any other national franchise, but you can buy that, and that's even a bigger business in a box. I mean, they really give you everything you need to be successful. Of course, I think the entry fee is like $100,000, so
Oh
it's
wow.
yeah, it's not cheap. But you know, but you don't need to become a Keegley franchisee to succeed with the Astro flipping program. You can do it as an independent wholesaler, um, as long as you know, you can work well either on your own, or you know, partner up with somebody, or you just squat up with somebody on a given deal. But yeah, so there's an even higher level to the Astro flipping and Keegley world than just the Astro flipping program.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's like really intense. That so there's levels to it. And is it only people that are actually doing astro flipping at a high level that have the ability to buy their own franchise,
Um,
Keighley
I'm not
franchise?
I'm not sure about that. I mean, it would make more sense if you, it's like saying, if you wanted to buy a McDonald's franchise, would it make more sense to have worked there as a teenager,
Yeah.
and then managed one, and then I guess of course it would, but they probably don't require that either. If you've got the money, you probably can buy a franchise if there's any still available. But I think, I would suspect it's the same with Keegley. If you had the money, you probably can buy right in at the franchisee level. However, just like with the McDonald's analogy, you probably have to take an extensive management training program to, to qualify. And I think Keighley does the same thing. I don't know if Kyle and Brandon in particular were Astro flipping students first and then bought into a franchise. But like I said, it certainly would help. But it's a much higher level, deeper dive into Astro flipping even than the basic
Oh my
program.
God. Yeah, it's entire disposition. It's
Yeah.
that seems like a pretty high level franchise to get. Comparing it to McDonald's is like I mean, it sounds like a great analogy, especially working at a McDonald's before you jump into it. But those burgers are like a couple $100,000. So it's but
Yeah,
yeah,
and the cool thing, the
yeah,
cool thing about Keighley and Astro flipping is they teach you to do acquisitions, to find the deals and get them under contract.
yeah,
But they're even more well known, as you probably know, for their disposition ability. They're known
yeah.
as the premier disposition outfit in the country, and even in their national headquarters, they probably do more dispositions than they do acquisitions, although they do both. But
Oh,
they're
I
known to be
they
the
do both.
go-to people when you have a deal. If you want to move it, that's one of the people you should contact as a potential buyer, because if they don't buy it themselves, then they have a huge, extensive buyers list. And most of their graduates are taught to build enormous buyers lists too in their own local markets. You
Yeah,
probably know Marilyn Savage, right? You've probably heard that name before.
I actually haven't heard of Marilyn Savage.
Okay, the group, our group knows her very well, and we've done some deals with her. And she's sort of an anomaly. She's an Astro flipping graduate who had she had a corporate background in the further back, and then she became a fixer and flipper, legit. I mean, she really did some actual solid deals. I've seen her work. I've toured her properties in person. So she was the real deal. She came up through Fortune Builders. I think you might have heard of them.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they're one of the earlier mentoring programs, mainly focused on rehabbing. And she was a graduate of them, and then she got into Astro flipping, I think around the same time I did, maybe a little before or a little after. And she just, combined with her already extensive experience and connections, she's just really rocked, the Astro flipping model. And her strength is her buyers list. And
Oh yeah,
she's just a go-to person. And she an anomaly in the sense that she could qualify, I would imagine, easily for a Keighley franchise if she wanted it, but she doesn't need it. She does very well on her own with her background experience prior to Astro flipping and Keighley, and now all of her Astro flipping training, as well as her Keighley connections. And she's still independent. She still doesn't feel the need to actually buy into a Keighley franchise. She's also one of Jamil's favorite people in the world too. So that doesn't hurt.
oh yeah.
He's on
It
his
sounds
speed
like a
dial,
tip
I
off
hear.
the old block.
Yeah, her number's on his speed dial on his phone. So that never hurts.
Nice. Super.
So, what are you up to now in your business? Like sub two? What since joining sub two, where are you at?
Well, sub two, since I joined sub two, I actually joined sub two with another sub two member, Janice Lucas, and we joined and together and made up a partnership when we first joined, and tried a few different things here and there, and then pretty soon settled in on the direct to agent MLS strategy for finding deals. She has a background as a Massachusetts realtor, and she leverages that with her ability to look through the MLS and look for potential deals. And that's how we had been finding a lot of our leads. And we've tried some of the other methods. We've had a couple of VAs, tried some of the more direct to seller approach. Haven't had as much success with that, I would say. We've looked into other things, too many to probably go into right now. But, and we're always still looking and considering different marketing strategies, but one that's been consistent has been the MLS direct to agent strategy. So that's still the primary one, the one that I prefer, and the one that I'm still putting most of my time and energy into. So, including up to the present moment, as we were just discussing.
Nice. So I've heard of people going direct to agent, obviously, but I've never been able to talk to somebody who goes direct to agent. I'm kind of curious, like, what your KPIs are, or what are the goals that you hit each week to actually sift through all of the potential deals on the MLS to actually find one that you can that fits your buy box.
Well, the first goal we want to hit is to make sure every other investor believes there are no good deals on the MLS, because we don't want anybody else looking.
Okay.
So that we know that's the common perception out there amongst most investors. And they have their own reasons why they think that, but most people think that there are no good deals to be found on MLS, so they don't look there. And in certain ways they're correct, but there are ways, once you study them and through trial and error, that you learn to vet the deals and to actually find a few that might be worth making an offer on. So it's not complicated, but then again, it's not simple. It's somewhere in between, I suppose. But what we basically do is we look for, there's different ways. You can either look for properties that are long days on market, that obviously aren't moving, which indicates some sort of problem. Whether it's the physical condition of the property or it's a stubborn seller, there's something, a title problem. You don't really know initially what the exact problem is, but just the mere fact that it's been on market for so many days, say more than 30, or certainly more than 50 or 60. And in the most recent hot sellers market, anything on more than a couple of weeks indicated a problem. But as we know, the market is now changing a little bit more back to a normal market, if not quite a buyer's market yet, but it's cooled off from the super white hot sellers market that it had been for quite a while. So that's what you look for first. You also can jump on a property that just came on the market. Sometimes that's another way to go. If something just showed up and you're right on top of it, you might want to make an offer right away before anybody else really, gets a shot at it. But 9 times out of 10, when you make your offer, whether it's a new listing or it's one that's been hanging around for a while, you're going to be up against other offers too. There's going to be competition. You really get to be the only person, making an offer on a particular property. So then other things come into play. You have to, that's where it helps to have a larger toolbox. And that's where knowing some other ways to put a deal together, such as what, you and Abby and I study also, which is the creative financing side of things. It certainly helps when you're going into a negotiation, whether it's with an agent represented seller and the property on the MLS, or even when you're going direct to seller and dealing, with the homeowner himself or herself.
And excuse me, sorry. So as far as like the creative side, do you find that there's a certain scenario that works best as far as like being able to pitch terms, like perhaps longer days on market rather than hitting them right out of the gate as soon as they jump up, or as soon as they post a listing? Or is it kind of like a toss up?
Yeah, no, I would say there's definitely an approach that we take that we think works well. And a great analogy is and you can relate, because again, you have the mechanical background that I don't. But if you go to a job, whether it's tools in your truck or it's tools in some sort of a toolbox you bring actually right into the building or the house, the more tools you have on hand on site to work with, the more likely you're going to get the job done. And the more impressive it's going to look to the homeowner. So the analogy would be, if I go into a negotiation either with a homeowner or an agent that represents a homeowner, the more tools I can pull out. If I just go in with a hammer and a screwdriver and that's it, and for whatever reason the agent and or the homeowner decide, no, I don't need a hammer or a screwdriver, it's pretty much game over. That conversation is over. And even if you say, well, I have something else back in the truck, or I've got another guy back at the office that, no, that's not going to fly. It's better if you have it with you right then and there. And that's what knowing these other strategies does for us. So it's great to know what Jamil and Astro Flipping and Keegley have taught us, as well as all the other, gurus to a lesser extent. And I don't mean to say guru disparagingly, I should probably say mentor, but in the most positive sense, everything that you've learned up to that point about wholesaling is great. But then if you also have the component that that PACE teaches us, which is all the creative financing strategies, that combination is really dynamic and really powerful and impressive. So when you're sitting in front of a homeowner or an agent, you're usually able to not only give them every possible solution that they would need to solve their problem, but you're giving them even more than than a lot of them can take in one bite, even one meeting. So you don't want to overwhelm them, but and some of them will just push away because it's just either too much or it's foreign to them, or they're not familiar with it, they don't want to hear it. But the best of them, both agents and homeowners, will want to hear about it. They'll want to learn at least a little bit so that they understand it. And again, most in this day and age, as you know, most of these negotiations now take place over the phone or on Zoom. There's not nearly as many in person as there used to be. And so it's very easy to overwhelm people on the phone and or on Zoom.
Yeah.
We tend to do a lot of 3, 4, and even 5-way or more phone calls so that all agents and homeowners or people on title have a chance to be on the same call. Not everybody wants to be, but we offer that option. And then whether it's on Zoom or on a joint conference call, we just try to lay it all out there. And then there's, they say the fortune is in the follow-up. So of course you don't always strike gold or, get something under contract in the first meeting or the first call, but you follow up. And one of the ways we follow up is we put together what's called a letter of intent. And we're borrowing from the commercial world now, where normally when you go after a larger multifamily building, which we really haven't done yet, but the people that play in that space, they don't usually make an offer right off the bat. As you probably know, they put together what's called an LOI, a letter of intent. And in it, it's not an official offer or contract, but they're laying out all the different options and the terms of that option that are possible. And usually a letter of intent is one particular type of offer, not offer, but one particular type of option. We put together a multi-step, not multi-step, but a multi-option, that's what it is, letter of intent, which normally gives 3, 4, or even 5 different options to the homeowner. And if it's an MLS property, it has to go through the agent. And it basically lays out in short form what we discussed on the phone call or on the Zoom call, so that they have something tangible to hold in their hand. And then they can decide on their own, later, just between them, if any of those options appeal to them. And, examples would be like the lowball cash offer. If you're paying cash, of course, as an investor, you want to pay less than full price. So you're offering something less than 100 cents on the dollar. The second option might be the creative one, the sub-2 or the owner financing offer, that sort of thing. The third might be a lease option. And then there's sometimes a fourth and a fifth for them to choose. It's basically a menu they can choose from, and they decide if they like any or all of those options. And it works fairly well. It's certainly better, again, than being that one trick pony where you go in with one option like the low cash offer, or just go in with the creative offer when, you know, that's not what they're interested in. That makes for a much shorter conversation. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. And so you have these conversations, and then you give them a menu, pretty much, your LOI. And what's your follow-up look like after? Is that your follow-up? Is the LOI? Do you follow up after that? You have them on like people who don't bite or don't take any of the offers. Do you follow up with them in a couple of weeks or?
yeah, what happens with, it's a little different depending, again, if it's direct to seller or direct to agent. And that's why I like direct to agent better. The agents will take the LOI, which again, isn't technically an offer to purchase. It's just prior to going to a contract. And they'll discuss it with their seller on their own time. And then they'll usually get back to us. Again, it's the agent representing the seller. And they'll say either they didn't like any of the options, or they liked one or two of them, but this one they liked best. And as long as they pick at least one of them, it's worth having a follow-up conversation. Of course, if they reject everything, but they're still looking to sell the property, we would follow up anyway, just to stay in touch. But
Yeah.
there's a much higher likelihood that if they pick one of the menu items, then that's a specific reason to then immediately start discussing putting together a possible contract, and then actually going to drawing up an offer to purchase. In Massachusetts, of course, there's an offer to purchase first, and then you go to a purchase and sale agreement. In some states, you go right to a purchase and sale. But either way, hopefully they'll pick one of the items and say, this is the one I like best, and then you try to put together a contract, you know, fairly quickly. So the follow-up would be very, very quick. If they reject all the options, then of course you put them on the slower follow-up track, which might be once a week or once every couple of weeks. You know, you basically just stay in touch with them.
So do you put numbers on that initial menu?
Yes.
Or do you, okay. And do
Yep.
you have like a specific algorithm that you use for each option? I assume they've got to be, well, maybe they're not different, but.
Well, they're pretty much the same. Of course, the prices are always different depending on the property. But say it's a $400,000 property, which is not expensive in this, you know, this area, this region. If you're going for the straight cash offer, you might offer, you know, 70% is really not very competitive in this region. So you might offer 80%, so 80 cents on the dollar. That's a straight cash offer, quick close, you know, little or no inspection, very short due diligence period, you know, that sort of thing, which is pretty much the traditional wholesalers, you know, offer. That's what they offer. But then because we know how to do the creative, we might offer a 90% to 100% creative option and say, yes, we'll pay more, if not full asking price, but we want terms. So we're going to give you your price, but we need terms from you that we can live with, we can work with. So there's got to be some give and take. And then in addition to that, if they may not be comfortable doing the creative financing option in the sense that they're going to actually give you a deed, and then you're going to promise to either take over their mortgage or create some sort of owner financing where you're going to pay them every month. They may go for the third option, which is the lease purchase. So they still maintain ownership. They don't give you a deed, but you get the ability to lease the property at a certain amount. And then of course, the trick is there to go out with that strategy and find a tenant buyer, somebody that you can rent it to for a little bit more money per month, and also give the option to purchase to. So obviously the option to purchase being at a little bit more than you put it under contract for. So that eventually every month you're getting a little bit more than what you're paying to the owner. And at the end, if the buyer exercises the option to purchase, then you're selling it for a little bit more than you have to pay off the seller with. And And like I said, sometimes there's a fourth and a fifth option, which escapes me at the moment, but I do remember some 4 and 5 different options being on some of the letters of intent. But basically, yeah, the formula is the same. Roughly, in other parts of the country, it can be as low as 60 to 70%, but around here, it's probably going to be 75 to 80% for the cash offer, 90% to 100% of the asking price for the creative financing offer, with terms that, you know, we propose that, you know, are also negotiable, but ultimately would be favorable to us. And then on the lease purchase, it's got to be, again, closer to the full asking price, but with terms that we can turn around and then do a deal with a tenant buyer and know that we can make a little money as long as we're carrying the property until the buyer wants to exercise the option to purchase. It sounds a little complicated, but you know, once you've done it a few times, it isn't. And you know, it's not that we're doing so many deals like that, but we're making plenty of offers that way. So it's,
Gotcha.
you know, the key is, as you know, a numbers game. Make enough offers, and eventually you're going to get a deal. If you can do it consistently, that's the key. So.
And is that how you were able to figure out that you needed to offer 80 cents on the dollar, was by just the volume of offers that you put out and seeing what actually came back?
No, actually, what dictates that is your local market. So it's basically every market around the United States has a different threshold or a different percentage where to be competitive, you need to be in that range. So you know, most people, if they tried making offers of 50, 60, even 70 cents on the dollar in the greater Boston market, would probably not be successful.
Right.
Because there's people willing to spend more money to get a deal, and then they're banking on the fact that they're going to improve the property so much that they're going to make their profit on the other end. However, if you go to other parts of the country, you know, the Midwest, it's hard to say now because it's been such a seller's market for so long, but
Yeah.
there are still parts of the country where you can make offers at 50, 60 cents on the dollar and be competitive. You probably have to be at least 60 cents on the dollar in most markets, but you don't have to be 80. That would be, you know, the Bostons, the New Yorks, the San Franciscos, the, you know, LA, you know, places like that, Washington, DC.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice. So getting started, I mean, was that just word of mouth that you got the 80%? Were you talking to local flippers, other wholesalers? Like, whenever you came up with that number, was it just like, that's just the standard?
It was, that was somewhat trial and error because there's
Gotcha.
no map that gives you the exact,
Yeah.
you know, numbers nationally. Some people do claim to know it and probably have a lot of data to back it up. And I probably, you know, can't afford that level of data yet. So but it probably does exist out there, especially with the commercial properties, you know, anything when you're getting up into the large number of unit multifamily type properties. I'm sure they have really good data on all of that, but
Yeah.
a lot of it was trial and error. Would put one out at 80%, get no response, would put one out at, you know, at 90%, get flooded, you know, with responses, and then realize, maybe 85% is the magic number where, you know, not everything's getting accepted, but we're still getting a lot of invitations to have that initial phone call, you know, that Zoom call or that conference call. So because you never want to bid against yourself or overbid. So I think if I had to go back, probably somewhere in the 80 to 85% is where we did our best response. And again, that doesn't mean the seller has to accept it. Being just a letter of intent, it's just an invitation to now start a negotiation and see what you can actually agree on and put down in an actual offer to purchase. But
Yeah.
yeah. So
And
it's-
during the negotiation, do you feel like you're doing a lot of like teaching as far as the real estate agents that you're working with? Do you feel like you have to, kind of school them up to go back to their buyer, or a lot of them kind of hip to the creative finance now? What are you seeing?
Um, there's probably two types of agents. There's probably one camp that just doesn't want to hear about it, has never heard about it, or doesn't trust it, or isn't interested. And then there's the others that are completely open, and especially with a property that's been long days on market, that is much more willing to learn, to hear about what this other possible option, could be. Because again, they want to earn a commission. They don't want a listing expiring. They don't want a seller that, is upset with them because they're not getting enough showings anymore, because now it's gone past the point of being a new listing. So it really depends on who the particular agent is. But I'd say more often than not, they're at least interested in hearing more, in having that initial conversation. Some are shorter than others, but most of them, they'll listen to what we have to say.
I like it. Yeah. Well, I think Pace has taken the industry a long way with the amount of content that he puts out. I can't imagine there's too many agents out there that hasn't at least heard Pace's name. So I think
Yeah.
creative finance is going to become very, very easy soon.
Yeah, I did, like I said earlier, I was just on a webinar, with him earlier this morning, and he claims that the actual number of realtors that are open to, to that discussion is still pretty low, which is unfortunate, but you're right. He's in the process of trying to not just train us as investors, but also train agents who are willing to listen and learn how this can be a win-win situation, or a win-win-win, a win for the agent, a win for the seller, and a win for the investor. And it has to be, otherwise you don't have a deal. If one or only two of the parties are making out, but the other one isn't, there's really isn't a deal there. It's not
It's
worth it.
complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely gets complicated.
The agent's biggest concern with a creative financing deal, as opposed to a cash offer, is how are they going to get paid? How is their commission going to get paid? And we probably don't have enough time in this this Zoom to go into that, but could be a topic for another day. But there
I
are
love it.
ways.
Yeah.
There are ways to make sure. I swear that's the number one concern of the agent, and it's a legitimate concern, because that's how they make their money. That's how they earn their money. So you have to address that. It is technically all about the seller, but the seller pays the commission. And if you're pitching a creative financing deal to a seller and they're not getting a certain amount of cash in their pocket at closing, how would they pay their agent unless they're taking money out of their own pocket? So,
Yeah.
So that is a concern. It's not just addressing the concerns and needs of the seller. It's also doing so for the agent as well. But we're happy to make that part of the conversation. It has to be. Like I said, all the parties have to be happy to to be able to put a deal together.
Yeah, definitely. An agent can really throw a wrench in the works really quickly. But
Yeah.
I mean, they're service providers. They have to get paid for their time.
Yeah.
Do I agree that all of them do enough work to?
That's another
But
discussion.
That's another topic.
Let's say most of them, definitely do, and they definitely deserve. Because what
yeah.
happens is, just like with us in the investing side of things, what people don't see with agents is how many deals they put time and effort in their own money into that don't close and don't work. And those are the ones that they're also getting paid for, but only with the deals that actually close. It's just like our business, the same thing.
Yeah.
We put a lot of time and effort into trying to put deals together that either don't happen or fall apart, and sometimes through no fault of anybody. And and it's just, you know, it's that expression we use in this business. You either earn or you learn, you know, and nobody wants to only learn. Eventually you want to earn. So
I was going to be a scholar. I was just going to be an investor scholar, actually, just
oh,
learn
really?
the
Well,
entire career.
you're in the
Yeah,
perfect
that's it.
business then.
I was just going to learn the entire career and not make any money at all.
Well,
That
you'll
was the
definitely
goal.
succeed in this business, that's for sure.
So, I mean, so you were talking earlier about the elephant challenge with Pace. So that's like kind of your bread and butter right now, because aren't they? Isn't he doing agent outreach? That's like the main way most people are submitting the offers, right? Could you tell us
Yes,
a little bit?
yeah, it's kind of unusual because, like we said before, straight wholesaling is pretty much something that Jamil and Keegley and Astro Flipping teach. And Pace, as we certainly know, is the creative financing, you know, king. He's the I mean, there are other people in that space too that are very good
Until
at it.
you
But
join his mentorship, then he's everything.
yeah, I
He's
mean, we
everything.
know
Yeah.
everything, you know. There is another guy out there, and Pace and even Jamil would be the first ones to say he's sort of the granddaddy in that space. His name's Ron LeGrand, and I've learned a ton from him. I mean, he's great.
Oh,
He's probably been doing it since the
write that down.
80s. Yeah, he's an original, you know, player in that space. And I recently saw a program where Pace and Jamil interviewed him, and it was just a phenomenal interview. I mean, so much knowledge going back and forth between the different generations. And what happened was I just came away with even more knowledge than before I went into it. But in the present world for us, the primary focus is Pace's method of teaching through Sub 2. And what's unusual is right now, for whatever reason, Pace has decided to offer a complete down to the basics wholesaling course, you know, for lasting a couple of weeks. We're 1 week in at this point, you know, a few hours a day, but every single day. And it's strictly focused on the basics of wholesaling, and even more interestingly, the basics of direct to agent wholesaling. So it couldn't tie in better to what, you know, I'm interested in, and what, you know, what I've been focused in primarily all along. And now the other guru / mentor that I, you know, highly respect and follow closely is doing the same thing. And it's been great. I mean, it's been a real boot camp. It's been a real grind. And then there's a lot of follow-up Q&A sessions and separate Zooms among some of the, you know, the members of this challenge. Like you said, they call it the Elephant Challenge, but it's all been great. It's all been super positive. And what they want, or what he wants, is for us that are in it to bring it out to our other fellow members of each of the accountability groups, such as the one you and I are in. And so now, instead of it just being a 2-week one-off challenge, which came and went, go back to the archives almost never. Now it's going to be instead a regular recurring monthly challenge, a few days each month, which, you know, someone like myself and Chelsea, she's another member I saw in there. And I think Isaac was in there too. There's been a few of us that have been in most, if not every day, learning this stuff, and we can bring it to the regular membership in our group and teach it, you know, just expand on it so that everybody understands it and everybody can utilize it, and then hopefully start, you know, doing deals and earning money from it. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, no, it seemed really cool. I'm curious why he's doing it right now. Like, what spurred it on? Do you think it's the change in the market? It's becoming more of a buyer's market, so getting people geared up to go after deals on the MLS?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know there's one particular software program they like, and they're heavily promoting the use of it for this challenge. But it will work with other software programs that some of our fellow members already have. So it's it's highly recommended, but it's not the only one that you can use this strategy with. But other than that, you could be right. I'm not exactly sure why. I think the main concern on Pace's behalf is that he, as you know, he teaches so much every day,
Yeah.
day in, day out, so much content and so much of it for free. It can be overwhelming, especially for the newbies. And what he's concerned about is not just the newbies, but even the people that have been doing it for a few months or even a year or two. They've never really grasped it. They've either got the bright shiny object syndrome, much like myself, or they just get distracted by life, or whatever else gets thrown in their way, and they never really master the basics enough to take action and actually do their first deal, and then eventually deals on a consistent basis. And he wants to make sure that doesn't keep happening. He wants to actually get people to be making offers and doing deals. And that's the main thrust of this new challenge, which is great, because learning, like we just said a few minutes ago, learning is great, but eventually you want to earn too. And this program is designed to cap the learning at a certain point and then start the earning. And the only way that happens is to take action, and taking action in this business means, ultimately making offers consistent.
What, like it's supposed to be like 966 offers by on Wednesday?
Oh, you heard that, huh?
I was in there the first couple of days.
Oh, you were? Yep.
Yeah.
That was
It's gonna
kind of
break
funny.
the MLS on Wednesday.
Right. Because his Zoom has a cap of about 1,000 people, and he didn't hit that the first day, Monday, and I'm not even sure he hit it the second day, Tuesday, but I think it was Wednesday. He was watching the numbers get up there, and he was sort of throwing it out to everybody, saying, "What number should I require us to be ready to make offers, to be making offers by next Wednesday?" And he was just watching the counter, and it was just going up, 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 up. And I think it got up a little high, and then it started to drop just a smidge. And he said, "Okay, we're going to go with this number." And I think you're right. It was 966. So 966, he wants 966 offers being made by next Wednesday. So supposedly he's gonna finish teaching everybody enough so that they're comfortable making an offer by next Wednesday. And but the really exciting thing is, now that he's going to make it a regular monthly recurring challenge, he wants to exponentially expand that number going forward. So I think for August or by September, he wants to hit something like 2,000. So that's why people like me will be bringing it to a town near you real soon, because we have to train everybody else how to do the same thing. And but again, it's in everybody's best interest, because it's one more way for you to to market for leads and prospect, so you can make offers on properties that could be profitable.
So I think I figured out what Pace wants. He changed the entire industry with creative finance. That's done.
Yeah.
Now he's trying to change the entire industry with agent outreach. He's trying to start a movement and break the MLS while he's at it. He's going to break the MLS.
And he officially wants to set a Guinness Book of World Records for making offers.
I love it.
That's a stated, so that's all. Not much, right?
No, world
in a day's work.
records and driving agents batshit crazy with all of the offers they're going to get.
Hey, I guess if you're an agent, as you know, in business, there are good problems and bad problems. That's what would be known as a good problem, if they're inundated with offers. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Especially in a market that's leveling off a little bit. That would be a good thing.
I love it. Yeah. So I mean, it sounds like an exciting time for you. Like, so
exciting but exhausting.
What's that?
I said it's exciting but exhausting at the same time.
Oh my God, yeah, it makes me tired just thinking about it.
Yeah. But it's fun. It's really exciting, and and the ability to, share the knowledge and, spread the, eventually spread the wealth. That's what really makes it exciting and something that I think those of us that are in it right now are really looking forward to, because it's not like a secret we're supposed to keep to ourselves. We're supposed to, share it. And as you
Yeah.
know, the whole idea of sharing is so that you have other people to collaborate with and squat up with and do deals with. That's another thing that makes our mentors so unique. They're not competitive, not even with each other. And they certainly don't want us to be that way. They want us to follow their example and collaborate, not compete. And that's a mindset we need to change in certain parts of the country, I think, investment communities around the country, including our own here in New England, because we're traditionally very, very competitive and rather secretive about the deals we're doing. And this is a mindset or a paradigm shift where we're supposed to be much more collaborative. And the theory being, it's better to share a deal to get a deal done than to try to hold on to 100% of it and risk losing the deal. And you end up,
Yeah.
earning nothing. So
I'd rather have a I'd rather have a piece of a watermelon than a tiny little grape.
yeah, what's the phrase? Half a loaf is better than none.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A
Share
bird in
the
the hand is worth two in the bush.
That's a good one too. I like that.
So
Teach it, what is it? Give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime, something like that.
yeah,
That's the idea.
opposed to you can drag a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So
Well,
hopefully we don't impose that one.
No, we all have those people in our lives, and
Yeah.
I don't know what to do about that. I think the only way to change that is to first be successful ourselves, prove the
Yeah.
concept works, proof of concept, and then, and then they'll be naturally more open and interested, I think, in what we're doing. So
Yeah.
nobody wants to be part of the struggle, and part of the learning curve and that's when people tend to avoid you and or
Get scared.
even worse, tell you you're wasting your time, it's crazy, it's a ripoff, you don't know what you're talking about, it'll never work. And we all hear that at different times from different people, and you just have to block that out. If you really believe in what you're learning and what you're capable of, then you have to block that out. You just got to plow ahead and keep just stick to the task at hand, even if it's just little baby steps every day. And that's actually, it's funny, that's the reason he calls it the elephant challenge, because how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yeah.
So it's a little small bite. That is why he named it that specifically.
Oh my God.
Funny.
Love it.
Funny that came up.
Yeah, no, and it's a great, I mean, so the whole concept is a great point. It's like, so one of the inspirations for doing this is the people that I have surrounded myself with in the New England group, right?
Oh,
Because
phenomenal people. Yeah, we've got some phenomenal people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just starting right in Maine. You've got some great people up in Maine, as we both know.
Oh my God,
But-
the best people in Maine, actually. I'm pretty sure Z said that's the gold standard. So Massachusetts don't need
All
to
of a
get
sudden,
that.
Maine has really hit the map within our group.
my
I don't
God.
know how that happened.
We're up to like we're like up to like almost a half a dozen people
Yeah.
up there.
We had one superstar up there who pretty much had Maine all to himself, and we know who we're talking about. And
Oh yeah.
he's been doing phenomenally well, and he's so generous and knowledgeable and willing to share and take time to to talk to people. And then all of a sudden, we've got all you other guys up there, guys and gals, and yeah, you're all just great. But I mean, we're just very fortunate in this group to have throughout the whole 6 New England states some really, really powerful, established, knowledgeable, successful investors, and then this real strong influx of new people that are just eager to learn, and they just soak in anything and everything that you're you're willing to share with them. And then we got people, in the middle, but everybody's on the way up, which is great.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I love most about the group is not only is everybody on the way up, but the people at the top are helping everybody in the middle and
Yeah.
everybody that's just starting out. Like
Yeah.
there's no lack of giving in the group.
Right.
Yeah, so
And that comes from the top. That's what Pace and
love it.
Jamil and even Brent, their other cohort on Wholesale Hotline, they
Yeah.
insist on that at their level, at the very top level. Just the same way they themselves collaborate with each other and do deals together. They don't fight with each other or hoard deals or compete. They collaborate. They squad up, and they encourage us. They insist on us doing the same if we want to be part of their communities. So it's a great example set right at the top for us.
It's amazing. Yeah, and it's definitely if more people were like that in the world, be no war, there'd be tons of money for everybody. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And that's how it is in New England right now. There's a ton of money for everybody. But not everybody can be like New England. So
And yeah, no, and we gotta figure out how to, of course, we all need to become more successful ourselves first, and then we'll be in a position to help everybody else. So it's not a selfish thing at all, but it's, unfortunately, you have to prove it yourself first before other people, like we said, will believe it's possible and then follow your example. So
let's hope, because I have a few on my list that need to be converted into investors that are going to be like the horse you can drag them to water, but they're not going to drink the money in the river. So
I was just talking about this with another investor from I think he's from Kentucky earlier today. He was on one of the other. He's in the challenge too, and he and I were talking about it. And basically, it goes along these lines. People will tell you when they find out you're getting into real estate investing, "Oh, that's crazy. It'll never work." And then you have a little bit of success, and they'll say, "Yeah, but you're never going to be able to, repeat that success. That was a fluke. You just got lucky." And then you have consistent success, and all of a sudden they're saying, "Hey, that seems interesting. Can you show me how you do it?" But
oh my God,
it's definitely 3 or 4 separate stages before you get to that final stage. So
I haven't got the last stage, but my favorite one right now is oh yeah, you made a little bit of money, but how long did it take you?
yeah.
And I'm like, I think okay, all right, never mind. I just walk away from the conversation at that point.
Yeah, and everybody's on a different timetable. Some people hit it are successful much quicker out of the gate. Frankly, it's taking me much longer than I expected, which can be extremely frustrating. But the great thing about it is I really enjoy the journey. I really enjoy what I'm doing and what I'm learning every day. And even though more deals fall apart than stick together and actually close, the learning aspect of each one. So you may not be earning, but at least you're learning, and you get to collaborate with some of the best people I've ever worked with. And you just know, because some of them are more successful because they're just doing it a little better in whatever sense of the word, whether it's consistently or smarter, or they're spending more money, or they're hiring more people, whatever it is. Even if you're not able to do those things yourself yet, sooner or later you will be able to, and then it will work for you. So you can't get frustrated, because that's another way to ensure you won't succeed. But as long as you stick with it, you stick to what they're teaching you, you follow the methods that they're recommending, and you network with the right people, which we certainly are doing. And you just practice and keep making offers. You're going to be successful. It's a numbers game. It definitely is.
I love it. Yeah. And before we hop off, so if people want to work with you, is that something that people can hit you up, email you, anything like that? Social media? Is that even something you like?
Oh, yeah. I'm always open to discussing the business with anybody. I do it on a fairly regular basis. Let's see. Yeah, the best way to get a hold of me is either just, email or to call or text. And I think both of those are up on the screen right there. So,
Oh, I love it. I was
yeah.
actually going to black it out, but I'll just leave it open.
Yeah, no,
So,
that's the best way to get a hold of me. I haven't,
Love it.
even though I enjoy social media personally, I don't always have a lot of time for it. I haven't really leveraged that much in this business yet. That's a future goal that I want to accomplish, but
You
for
gotta have
now,
your own team for that. You gotta have a
yeah,
social media team. I'm
yeah,
pretty
you get
sure.
that personal brand going, and then, yeah, that's definitely in the future, but for right now, no, I just like being part of this group and
I love
part
it.
of the national communities that I belong to, and just trying to offer, value, when I can, not just for the fellow investors I deal with, but also the sellers and even the buyers that we encounter. We always want to try to leave a situation, better than we entered into it. But, it doesn't always happen, unfortunately, but you're always learning how to make every situation better more consistently. That's just part of the natural, learning process of this business. So it's not without its challenges, but you know,
Yeah.
you just have to enjoy the journey and trust in the process, and sooner or later you'll be far more often successful than not.
Yeah. It's probably one of the challenges is that anything that's worth doing is going to be a challenge at the end of the day. There's
Yeah,
nothing to it. To get good at it, you got to go through the pain.
yeah. And that reminds me, I'm trying to remember who said it, but that other expression is, how you do anything is how you do everything.
I love
And,
that.
not that anybody, including yours truly, is perfect by any means, but if you try to do everything, um, intentionally and well, and for the best, then hopefully that translates or carries out into everything else that you do. So
I'm gonna be straight
easier
up
said
with you
than
on that one. I'm gonna be straight up with you on that one. That quote in particular scares the hell out of me because there's a lot of things that I suck at. I still do them, but I suck at them.
done. I
One of
hear you.
them being consistency with being organized. Yeah, so that that quote scares the shit out of me. It makes me want to improve everything in my life. It's never
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Yeah. That's okay.
Abby, do you have any final thoughts?
Oh man, put on the spot.
Put on the spot.
No, I mean, I'm always just curious about like what you feel like is your superpower that is like,
Oh,
yeah.
that's a great question. Actually, that's one of the
Love
things
it.
that I'll be bringing to the group from this elephant challenge. They did up a sheet. Maybe you got it because, like you said, you were in the first couple of days, but that elephant challenge avatar guide, did you happen to see that?
I
I
did
haven't,
not.
no.
Yeah, 19 different avatars, and Pace claims there's probably a few more that didn't make the list. But and the concept of avatar has always been a little confusing to me, but this guide really helps explain it. It's basically, like you just said, Abby, 19 different superpowers, or just skills that you're either naturally good at or you've actually been trained at, and they're all ways in which you can contribute to a real estate investing business or a deal. And you don't certainly have to be skillful at all 19. The more you're skilled at, the better. But the ones you're not good at, you either partner with somebody or you hire somebody to, or you maybe not full-time hire, but you pay somebody, like a transaction coordinator, for instance. That's one of the 19 avatars. If you love paperwork and contracts and making sure people do what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it during the middle of an ongoing transaction, that's the avatar for you. But there's 18 others that are on this guide, and I'll be sharing it with the group. And it really helps you identify what your strengths and weaknesses are and what you need either to get better at yourself or be prepared to hire or delegate or pay somebody else to do to make sure it's not a major pothole in your operation, in your real estate investing business.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which was yours?
Oh, brother, let's see. I think out of the 18, I came up with about 7 that I think
I love it.
I qualify for somewhat.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to think. I don't know if I have it with me.
And is that something that's shareable outside of the community, or is that top secret?
Oh, no, he definitely wants us to share this sort of thing.
Is that something, would you be able to send me a copy and I could put it in the show description?
Absolutely, sure, I could do that.
Awesome.
Yep.
So everybody down below will be a copy of the Elephant Challenge avatar.
Yep. That's actually probably a great way to recruit people to the ongoing monthly
I love it.
challenge, which I'll be tasked with doing once this original challenge wraps up. Yeah, so
And
I've got it
I'll
right
put
here
that
in
the
front of me.
description too.
Yep. It's I'm just trying to read. It's very small print, but yeah. So one is I'm a direct to seller investor. Actually, it says I'm a direct to seller visionary. Another one is I'm a direct to seller integrator. I'm a direct to agent investor. That would be one of mine. I'm a direct to referral partner. Let's see. That means you're working with, people like probate attorneys or financial advisors to, establish relationships to have them eventually refer deals to you, potential deals. And it just goes on and on. I mean, there's 4 more rows of different
Oh, wow.
avatars. Yeah. But the great thing about it is it really breaks down on a very ground level basis what the different roles and jobs are within the real estate investing world. And until you see something like this with this level of detail, it all does seem to sort of blur together because there's so much information. You can easily get overwhelmed. I always tell people, especially newbies that are getting into the business or even thinking about getting into it, the problem is not that there's not enough information or people that want to teach you or sell you products and give you lessons on what to do. It's that there's too much. There's too much technology, too much software, too many people claiming to be, the ultimate, guru or mentor, and you just get overwhelmed very quickly and very easily. And that's another reason why groups like ours are so valuable, to be able to take people that, especially new people that come in and are overwhelmed by all these offers, and just say, okay, look, this is all you really need to start with. This is how to do it, and don't get overwhelmed. Don't get scared off. Don't give up. Don't walk away. And just hang out with us and sort of follow what we do, and and just go from there. And you really need that. You really need that as soon as possible when you decide to get into this business.
Yeah, it's that positivity. It's surrounding yourself by people that are 10 steps ahead of you.
Yeah, doing it on your own is,
success.
it's very, very difficult to do it on your
Yeah.
own. But I think we all make that, we all do it that way for the first few months, if not the first year or two. We don't know any better. And then if we're lucky, we end up falling into, groups like this, that
We're lucky.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but like you said, once you find yourself in that position, if you're fortunate enough to be in that position, you want to turn around and then try to be that helping hand to the person that was in your position, the one you were in, 6 months or a year or two before. So
Yeah.
pay it forward, as they say, right? It's all good karma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I think
love
one of
it.
the most one of the most valuable things that the mentorship like in our group provides is like like you see people doing amazing things and they don't really seem real until you get to know them. So I think that's like the value that we get out of, and like then you start to be able to connect, and it takes people different amount of time, but that like you can do it like too, because you're a person just like
Right.
everybody in the group, just like Pace. Like that's why I went to go like see him when he was in Boston, just
Yeah.
so like my brain could like interpret like, oh yes, like I can shake a hand and he has a hand, and
Right.
same with like everybody in sub 2 that has been through all of this before.
Right. And then to find out they're just as nice in person as they are, online,
Yeah.
or on
Mhm.
Zoom. That's just
Yeah.
a bonus. You can learn from somebody that isn't necessarily the nicest person in real life, but what a bonus it is to find out they're just as nice as they project to be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
online. That's,
Yeah.
Very intentional people, but still people. Definitely.
Yeah.
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 Pace
And
is
never
probably
boring.
a singular person.
Yeah, they keep it interesting. They
Oh my
keep it
God.
fun. Yeah, it's never boring.
Yeah,
That's the other
never
thing.
boring.
Yeah.
But Alan, thank you so much for joining us tonight, man. I really appreciated your time tonight, man. I
Oh,
know
no,
I
this
got
has been
late,
fun.
but
Oh,
yeah, it has. And I want to have you on here again. We like to keep it casual, but I know there's more to dive deep on. So I mean, eventually I
Oh,
want to
yeah.
have you back on again.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy. Maybe come back in a month or two and talk about the monthly elephant challenge. That's
I love it. That
Yeah.
could be, yeah. It's like a monthly series. You could tell me how it goes whenever y'all make 2,000 offers.
yeah,
Pretty
yeah,
sure,
yeah.
the world's going to implode, but but thanks, man. I really appreciate it. And is there anything you want to leave us with before we jump off?
Just to anybody that's thinking of getting into this business, to realize that it can be done. It's not it's not easy, but it's not impossible. And there is a learning curve, but once you get a little bit up that ladder, you don't have to wait until you know everything before you can actually start taking action and trying to put some deals together. That's the most important takeaway, I guess, is you don't need to know everything. And someone puts it in terms of massive imperfect action is how you're going to become successful. So once you know enough to, to start making your first few offers, your success will, there's one mentor and guru out there that says, your success in this business is in direct proportion to how many offers you make. So the sooner you get comfortable making offers, which before you make the offers, of course, you have to get comfortable prospecting for leads and, and comping properties and negotiating with agents and sometimes directly with sellers. So it's not, like I said, simple, but you can learn these various steps well enough, not perfectly, but just well enough so you can actually start doing it. And then you start making the offers, and your success will happen as quickly as the number of offers you put together, you send out, is done consistently on a daily and weekly basis. And I firmly believe that's true. So don't let anybody
Love it.
else, tell you otherwise. There's one other local guy that he has a whole program called Shut Up and Do It. And, which basically is, hey, learn enough so that you know how to do it, and then just start doing it and stop worrying or complaining and asking questions. Not that you can't keep doing that, but you have to start taking action at a certain point too. And, and then once you get those first couple of checks in, he calls those the shut up checks, which is basically, okay, all you naysayers that said it couldn't be done, look at this check and now and shut up. Or you don't even have to tell them to shut up. They'll shut up on their own. And that's when they'll start asking you, hey, I know I was complaining a lot about this, but I think now I'm interested in hearing more about it. Can you show me how to do it? And that's where we all want to get. And that's,
Yeah. No, definitely.
that's a wonderful feeling. So, but we all get there at different pace, but we all will get there. So we just got to work
Slowly but
together,
surely.
collaborate, not compete. That's the motto.
I love it. I love it. And don't be
Awesome.
afraid to reach out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, thanks. This has been great. Thanks very much, Tim and Abby. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on
Yeah.
this
Of
program.
course.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I should have told y'all before. Let's give some love to Sub 2.
Oh,
And this
absolutely.
will be our picture. I love it, guys. Thank you so
Next
much,
time-
Allan. I'll
Yeah,
see you
no-
this weekend.
Oh, you're
Be out
welcome.
there.
Yes, absolutely. And
I love
and
it. I'll see you
next
this
time we'll
weekend.
wear the hats too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's too hot for the hat right now.
That's
I was
right.
going to. It's too hot.
Absolutely. I
Oh
agree.
yeah. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Take
Bye.
care, Abby.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.